Hello, myself Dr. Anush Purwar. Today I am taking lecture on design of coagulation and flocculation part 1. Coagulation is defined as the addition of a chemical to a colloidal dispersion which result in particle destabilization by the reduction in forces which tend to keep particles apart. The process involves the agitated agitation of the coagulant and the forming of either flocculent suspension of compounds which entrap undesired constituents or the formation of insoluble precipitates of the undesired constituents themselves. Examples of the former include organic suspended and colloidal matter, and while the second include precipitates of the phosphorus and heavy metals. Most microscopic and colloidal particles are stabilized by the formation of layers of ions which tend to collect around the particle and form a protective barrier for stabilization. These ionic layers tend to act as part of the particles and travel with it through solution, inhibiting the close approach of respective particles to each other. Both the thickness of the ionic layers and the surface charge density are sensitive to the concentration and the valence of ions in solution. Hence, the stability of a suspension may be marked, affected, or altered by adding suitable ions with large positive charges into the solution. The zeta potential is a measure of the stability of a particle and indicates the potential which would be required to penetrate the layer of ions surrounding the particle for destabilization. Hence, the higher the zeta potential, the more stable the particle. The purpose of coagulation is to reduce the zeta potential by adding specific ions and then to induce motion for the destabilized particles to agglomerate. Mechanism of destabilization of colloids. The mechanism of destabilization of colloids are classified in three types: double layer compression, adsorption and charge neutralization, and enmeshment in a precipitate. Double layer compression. The behavior of some coagulants with a colloidal particles are purely electrostatic. Coagulants ions with a charge similar to the primary charge of the colloids are repelled and counter ions are attracted. If a high concentration of coagulant is added to a colloidal dispersion, the concentration of counter ions increases and the thickness of the double layer decreases. This decrease should be sufficient to overcome the energy barrier, thereby particles can coagulate. The higher the charge of the counter ions, the more rapid the coagulation. The rate of coagulation varies directly as the charge of the counter ions. As aluminium greater than in comparison to the calcium in terms greater than in the sodium. Adsorption and charge neutralization. The charge of the colloidal particles can be neutralized by molecules of opposite charge which have the ability to absorb on the colloid. The overdosing of counter ions creates excess counter ions after charge neutralization of the colloid. These excess counter ions adsorb on the charged neutralized particles, giving stability with charge reversal. This shows that electrostatic forces are not the only driving forces for destabilization but also adsorption. Otherwise, re-stabilization would have been produced. Enmeshment in a precipitate. Metal salts like Al2SO4 whole thrice, FeCl3, CaO, and CaOH whole twice are used as coagulant in water treatment. High or sufficient concentration of these coagulants are required to form metal hydroxide precipitate like AlOH whole thrice or FeOH whole thrice so that the colloidal particles can be enmeshed in these precipitates and settle along with them. The colloidal particles may serve as nuclei for the formation of precipitate so that the rate of precipitation increases with an increase in the concentration of colloidal particles in water. The process by which colloids are swept from suspension is known as sweep coagulation. Relationship among pH, colloidal concentration of water, and optimum coagulant dose. The study of it is necessary for satisfactory operation of coagulation process. There might be following four cases as discussed in next slide. High turbidity or low alkalinity of water. This type of water is coagulated with low dose of coagulants. The optimum coagulant doses has to be estimated for destabilization of colloids. Reduction of pH can occur by ionization of coagulants, which gives hydroxymetal polymers or aquametallic ions. These metals ions adsorb on the colloid because they have a great affinity for surfaces where they neutralize the surface charge. High turbidity and high alkalinity of water. This type of water is unaffected by the addition of coagulants. The reduction of pH is less and remain in the neutral region. Hence, adsorption and charge neutralization will be less effective than in low turbidity water. Higher coagulant doses should be used to ensure sweep coagulation. Low turbidity and high alkalinity of water. Due to low colloidal concentration, the low dose coagulation is less effective. Hence, high coagulant doses will enmesh the colloidal particles and form sweep flow. Addition of coagulant add will help to reduce the high coagulant doses. Low turbidity and low alkalinity water. Because of low colloidal concentration, coagulation is the most difficult and low alkalinity permits the effective formation of AlOH whole thrice 3 flow. It may be useful to add both turbidity and alkalinity. Commonly used coagulant. The choice of coagulants depends upon the type of suspended solid to be removed, facility design, and cost of coagulant. Final selection of coagulants should be made with jar testing and plant scale evolution. Consideration must be given to required effluent quality, method, and cost of sludge handling and disposal. Inorganic coagulants. Inorganic coagulants such as aluminum and iron salts, when added to water, these highly charged ions to neutralize the suspended particles. The inorganic hydroxides that are formed produce short polymer chains which enhance microflow formation. Inorganic coagulants usually offer the lowest price, are widely available, and when properly applied, are effective in removing most suspended solids. Inorganic coagulants produce large volume of flow which can also entrap bacteria as they settle. Inorganic coagulants may alter the pH of the water since they consume alkalinity. When applied in a lime soda as softening process, alum and iron salt generate demands for lime and soda ash. They also require corrosion resistant storage and feed equipment. Alum, ferric sulfate, and ferric chloride lower the alkalinity and pH reaction for each are given in next slide. Here the reaction for the alum Al2SO4 whole thrice plus 3CaHCO3 whole twice is equal to 2AlOH whole thrice plus 3CSO4 plus 6CO2. For ferric sulfate, Fe2SO4 whole thrice plus 3CaHCO3 whole twice is equal to 2FeOH whole thrice plus 3aSO4 plus 6CO2. For ferric chloride, 2FeCl3 plus 3CaHCO3 whole twice is equal to 2FeOH whole thrice plus 3CaCl2 plus 6CO2. Polymers. Polymers are becoming more widely used. These can be used as coagulants as along with the regular inorganic coagulants. Anionic polymers are often used with metal coagulants. Low to medium weight cationic polymers may be used alone or in combination with alum or ferric coagulant. Polymers are effective over a wider pH range than inorganic coagulants. They can be applied at lower doses and do not consume alkalinity. They produce a smaller volume of more concentrated, rapidly settling flow. Polymers are generally several times more expensive in price than inorganic coagulants. This is all about the treatment part, circulation and sedimentation part 1. Thank you.